Mind you, body count does not necessarily mean too much to me, but it means a little bit, you feel me? So it's like, if I get with a man and I'm like, what's your body count? And he's like, 25. I'm like, dang, it's only 4 seasons in a year. You only 25 years old yourself.
I like her.
So it just makes me think, like, what situations could you have possibly put yourself into that you would have gave yourself up that much?
I've been celibate for a year just before I start this, but to a lot of men, body count does matter. But I think a lot of women aren't also wanting a lot of the men that are on the market. And personally, like for me, the same group of people that talk about having like post-nut clarity is never somebody I would ever take sexual advice from, because I've never experienced that a day in my life. If I had sex with somebody, if I looked at something, I never thought, maybe shouldn't have done that after. Like, I was decisive in my choices of giving my—
Because you're not a man.
A woman's body count matters more than a man's. We'll start by bringing up everyone that agrees now.
Okay, one of the ladies stepped up. Interesting.
I'm gonna start with you.
Yep.
This is not to disregard the fact that men can be sluts. That's not what I'm trying to say, but
Okay.
honestly, when I think about it, women mature a lot faster. Women really know what they're doing, and I don't mean to shame or anything like that, but I feel like it gets to a point. But personally, I feel like when it comes to like sexual relationships and sexual intimacy, that's supposed to be with somebody that you truly feel intimate with. And I know that not a lot of men feel that way, honestly, and they'll probably lay down with anything. But I feel like as a woman, you know who you want to give your body to and who you don't want to give your body to. So it's like when you're going outside of that comfort zone so much, or you've built this like tolerance to just sex to where it means absolutely nothing to you, it's like that. I don't think that's a good sign. So no, I'm not trying to say that like a woman's value diminishes the more bodies that she has or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But I feel like as a woman, you are kind of held to this standard. Like you should hold yourself to a standard is really what I should be saying. Like, you should know not everybody needs to see your body. Not everybody needs to be in your body. Not everybody needs to know who you are on a personal and on an intimate level, because as a woman, that's supposed to be reserved for your man. You feel me? So maybe if all your sexual relationships have been inside of intimate, real relationships, yes. But when you just out and about and just and ducking, I can't support that. I guess that's my opinion on it.
All right. I like this young lady like here. I hate her damn shirt, but I like her damn opinion. For all 39 women that are watching this video right here, no matter how much they try to convince you, we are different. Biologically, we are different. You have an innie, I have an outie. You control access to sex, I do not. So it's incumbent on you to throttle, laying down up on your back and getting your cheeks clapped, especially raw daddy. Y'all got STDs that we don't even feel. And y'all can get pregnant, and y'all suffer more impact from having a child, more disruption to your life. So really it comes down to control. And if you do not control the variety of men who have access to your body, then you are demonstrating that you are not valuable. Typically, products that are valuable are much more difficult to attain.
Okay. And is there one of you gentlemen that's ready to just get it going?
Yeah, I'll get it going. I feel like a key that opens a lot of locks is a master key, and a lock that opens for any keys is a lock. So, do what you want with that.
Oh God! So don't tell me you're reading internet quotes and you get up on a discussion-based podcast and just mic drop. Right? How many times have we heard that one? Anyway,
I'll chime off of that just because it's really simply put. There's a lot of things that you could talk about in this conversation, but women control the sexual market. They control the dating scene. So if you are in control of that situation or that scene, if you're allowing yourself to have a multitude of men come into your life, have sex with you, and then they leave you, that's a red flag for a man who's looking for a woman with a lower body count. Now, with that being said, to add on top of that, statistically speaking, women who sleep with men, like 5 men or more, are more likely to divorce in their first marriage. It's like almost, I think, up to 80%.
Where's that stat from?
Oh, well, we can pull it up after. That's
okay. I got
there's
you.
a multitude of different statistics that back that up. But yeah, I mean, end of the story, like a key that opens up a bunch of locks, like they present a ton of value. So, and I would like to refute off of what you said. You said that men can be sluts, and I would disagree with that. I would say men are the makers, because at the end of the day,
shout out to Jesse Lee Peterson.
Has a ton of value. He's going to be able to be with a ton of women, right? But they're presenting themselves to him. Because at the end of the day, like in today's dating market, sexual market, women control it. So if men have that value and they're having sex with a lot of women, yeah, their body count isn't going to matter necessarily you know, to other men, but a lot of men in that way would look up to them and be like, dang, he gets a lot of women, so he has value. And then the same thing with women. They're gonna look at him and be like, dang, a lot of women want him. So what does he present that allows him to obtain this many women? So yes, in that regard.
I think I might have to just
So
disagree with
he's right. The term slut is a gender term. It's designated for women that historically have shown dirtiness within their sexual life, right? Promiscuity. It has never been a male term. Now, you could say that he is promiscuous or that he has a high body count, but the term slut is not male focused. Same thing when you call a woman a tramp, a hussy, a trollop, a strumpet. I mean, you could just go down the line. These are all female focused, but you can say that the guy is a tramp maker, a strumpet maker, right? You get the drift. Now, regarding the stat that he pulled, it seems to be a bit of an overestimation. I'm over at the University of Utah's website. They actually quote the Institute of Family Studies. And you can see from this chart here, the chances of divorce after 5 years of marriage. And you can see here that irrespective of the decade, I guess going back just 40 years, 3 decades beyond that, that from 0 to 1 to 2, the rate of divorce actually goes up 25%. And then it sort of stabilizes with a slight decline, but it's not as statistically significant as 0 to 2 partners. And then looks like it's the sharp incline when you get to 9 partners and above. Quick emergency meeting. I was recently searching for my name online and found way too much personal information, which brought me down this weird rabbit hole of how that could have happened, and found out that there's companies out there called data brokers that will sell your data to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And it's a nasty, disgusting feeling knowing that there's bad actors out there selling my information, selling your information for profit. But that's why I'm recommending today's sponsor, Aura. Now, I use Aura to automatically remove my information from these sites and keep my information off. But they do other things as well, such as bank fraud and identity theft alerts, VPN access. But guys, utilize my link down in the description box down below for a 14-day trial. At least see if you've been compromised. Privacy is king in this day and age, and you should know if your information is out there. So again, utilize my link, aura.com/MTR, in the description box down below to try 2 weeks free. That's way more than enough time to see if your personal data has been exposed. Go now.
Awesome to obtain this many women. So yes, in that regard.
I think I might have to just disagree with that just for a second. And I know I moved up here, so I know that I agree with the prompt, but I just have to disagree with that in a sense, because if I get with a man and I ask him, like, mind you, body count does not necessarily mean too much to me, but it means a little bit, you feel me? So it's like, if I get with a man and I'm like, what's your body count? And he's like, 25. I'm like, dang, it's only 4 seasons in a year. You only 25 years old yourself.
I like her.
So it just makes me think, like, what situations could you have possibly put yourself into that you would have gave yourself up that much? Because I do think that a man's body count matters. I'm not saying that it doesn't matter, but I'm saying, like,
not as much.
At the same way that I'm supposed to value myself and who I give my body to, as a man, that doesn't mean that you don't supposed to value yourself as well.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you at all. I think a majority of men do like try to conserve their body count to be low, but a lot of people don't. In today's society, a lot of times you see people go out to the clubs and enjoy that nightlife, and that's what they do. Now, I'm talking in a general perspective. This isn't a personal perspective. So personally for me, yeah, low body count for myself, but I'm saying in general, most women are going to inherently, you know, it's something to be, you know, wary of, is your body count. Because a lot of men who are conservative, who are religious, you know, they're gonna look at you and be like, well, if you got 10 bodies, like, why would I marry you? Like, there's no need to do that. So yeah.
And in a white
that's
dress.
What I would speak on. Is like when you sit there and you think about a girl's perspective on it and a guy's perspective on it. Like, a guy's perspective is they do value that somebody hasn't gone out and slept with a bunch of people and, you know, given a lot of that to other people. Where a lot of women, and not like specific humans that I want to point out, but I just know generally there's a lot of girls that are out there that say, oh, well, I can sleep with whoever until I'm this age, and then I'll decide I'm going to settle down. And they don't realize that a lot of men inherently do not value that. They value that they've held themselves to a certain standard, and they don't, you know, just give themselves up. That's not to say that men shouldn't do the same thing, though. Like, I also in the same sense, think that men should also not be just going around sleeping with a ton of different people, and then when they decide, oh, I'm going to settle down now, that, you know, it's not going to matter to that person as well. Like, I think in a marriage, both of you should limit that amount of people that you've been with or that you've slept with, because kind of to your point earlier when you said like somebody slept with so many people that they lose that connection to be able to, if you're intimate with somebody, you can't connect with them the same way that it's supposed to be and what God intended it for. So if you're going to sit there and diminish that gift that we've been given, then it's not going to mean something to you. And then back to Nico's point, it's like, well, now because you don't cherish that, or you don't feel the same connection that you should, people are more likely to get divorced because they don't get the connections that, you know, sex was intended for.
I think a little more tactful way to put what you're saying is kind of women, like we've also kind of touched on already, is women are the gatekeepers also, like you said. You guys are the gatekeepers of the opportunity to mate. So I think on the surface level, if you're willing to have a high body count and sleep with all these different guys, then obviously your standards for what you are going to be intimate with are a lot lower. That's just how that works. To go on a little bit of a deeper level, and I think more from your guys' perspective, is sex is way riskier for women than it is men.
Way riskier.
Right? Anything that can happen to a woman after a bad sexual encounter can happen to a man, and then some. You know what I mean? Like the big thing being an unwanted pregnancy. Like that's a huge risk for women, right? Yeah, we have a bunch of, we have contraceptives, but still, it still happens. I mean, how many times do we hear about it? So there is that. You said, a man's body count does matter. I think it does matter. I think if I remember correctly, almost everybody here is Gen Z. I'm probably the only millennial here in the room.
No, there's 99.
Yeah, I'm 94. So not 94 years old, but I know I look it, but I feel it. But it is one of those things that I've noticed too that I actually admired Gen Z for, is a lot less of them are going and throwing themselves around than what I saw. Like even just, maybe 10 years prior, going through school of like, girls would be bragging about the guys they've slept with, guys would be bragging about the girls they slept with. You don't see that as much anymore. So that's a way that I'm seeing society heal itself a little bit.
That has everything to do with our entire generation is in a spotlight now. Like
exactly.
Every single thing you do, you're on, like everybody knows about it. If you're out with a guy, there's going to be a post about it. If you're out with a ton of different girls, like you're going to see posts about it.
Exactly.
And everyone's constantly worried about that image that they have. So like, you don't get to just fly under the radar and do all these crazy things anymore as much as you used to.
With all this talk about women.
That's a point that I actually don't think I've ever thought about before, is that the internet in itself, or the surveillance that we all have around us, or the ability to essentially take your mini platform, post something about someone's life, and it just might blow up, right? That system of accountability has never existed, right? Like it's almost like crimes are a little bit, they're different now than as opposed to, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, before everyone had a damn phone in their damn pocket, right? Like back in my day, getting into a fight after school had a lot different consequences than today, because you probably gonna get posted of exactly how you took your L. The interesting thing about millennials is that I grew up effectively without the internet. And, I was born in 85. So, it wasn't until about 96, 97 until like 56K. Right, I didn't have that 128K, and then because that was for rich people, and then there was a jump to cable like around like 99, 2000 or something like that. And by that time, I was in high school. I don't even think we had Wi-Fi in college. We had Ethernet though. I remember that. But let me just summarize this argument like this: if you have a guy, let's say he's moderately attractive, right, and he's doing very well for himself. Tall young man, right? Ambitious, going somewhere in life, strong morals, strong family behind him. And let's say he gets 8s on average, 8s and below in a room. If they were to find out that he's 15 to 20 bodies deep, ain't none of those chicks are going to stop talking to him. In fact, they're going to try to be the highest on his hierarchy. Let's say you take those same sets and you transition that for a woman, right? Like instead of saying, he's ambitious in the workplace and he's going someplace, let's say that, she's beautiful. Let's also say that she's deeply, exudes feminine characteristics. But if she has 15 to 20 bodies lined up behind her, I'm trying to tell you, dudes will situationship you, but they will not take you serious unless they've bitten the apple of like how we're equal when it comes to our sexuality and they believe that bullshit. Would you rather be the mother or the father of a son with 25 bodies at the age of 25 years old, or would you rather be the parent of a daughter with 25 bodies at the age of 25 years old? I want the audience to answer that down in the comment box. Let's go.
I think it might be valuable to hear what the women think.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm glad to hear that when I was standing back there that it got brought up that body count should matter for men too. Because I think it's important that because to me, sex is an energy exchange. So you have to be able to, like, I want to make sure that you have good energy before I give you that part of myself, right? Like,
sure you
and
do.
then we can be reciprocal in that.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't always like that, you know?
Okay,
I suffered a lot of trauma from a young age. So my adolescence was
Now you need
a
good
little
energy.
risky.
Got it.
So does body count matter? No, because my body count, while it might have been on the higher side because of decisions I made as a teenager,
Here we go.
you know, that shouldn't be held to me now.
Yeah, no,
because
no,
I've
it
done
should.
the work, I feel I've grown.
It should.
I no longer do that. So I don't want
No.
to judge anybody for decisions that they've made in their past. I don't want to judge anybody. A body count shouldn't matter because if you're making those decisions
A body
now,
count shouldn't matter because of the terrible long dick Tyrone decisions that I've made previously within my life. Because I've done the work. Now I understand it's about energy. It's an energy exchange between two vessels intermixed in betwixt of each other, just exchanging back and forth. Back before I realized all of this, right? Before this moment of clairvoyance, I was getting double mint dick down by Tom, Dick, and Harry, which disallowed me from having clear skin into the future. But, you know, let's just ignore all of that, all right? So I won't judge you if you won't judge me. Deal? Deal.
of going out and sleeping around with everybody, then yeah, that matters. But because of maybe something that you did when you were a teenager and because of whatever reason, trauma, whatever, shouldn't be held against a person now. That shouldn't devalue them, because who I was at 13, 14, 15 years old is not who I am now as, you know, a grown adult. That is where for me it's like, does body count really matter in that regard? No, because I'm not going to judge you for where you've been. I want to see you where you are now. So what are you doing now? If you're doing that now, then that's fine. Go live your life. I don't agree with that personally.
Okay.
And I'm not living my life that way. But, you know, I'm not going to judge somebody for what they've done in their past per se in terms of the decisions because of whatever reason. Like in my case, trauma and abuse, which then triggered it to become, you know, more of a pattern rather, you know? So we should, you know, not hold people to things that they've done in the past.
No, shut up. Listen, baby girl, and I'm gonna say this as kindly as what I can. I've been trolling you a little bit, but let me be serious here for a quick second. Your trauma is not my problem, okay? Because there's dudes out there and women out there that have done the work, right? They've relinquished whatever baggage that they've had, right? They're not self-deletes deep, right? They're actively asking themselves, how can I be a better person each and every day? They're working on honing their skills or identifying their purpose, or in women's case, honing in on their femininity. Man's case, demonstrating key factors of masculinity. And whether you like it or not, if that man wants to date you, it'll be a part of his questions. It'll be a part of his vetting process. I'm glad that, on account of your words, that you've stepped up from whatever it is that happened within your life. I'm glad that, you know, if that's who you truly are right now, kudos, all right? Life is about growth. But however, you're speaking from a position of your skin in the game. You want to alter how people think about something because you've already lived your roaring 20s. You've already lived La Vida Loca. And now you want no accountability based off of your past transgressions. Successful men don't operate that way.
I like to state I've been celibate for a year just before I start this, but with the lock and key statement that was made earlier.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
I think this is a mindset that men hold. To a lot of men, body count does matter, but I think a lot of women are also wanting a lot of the men that are on the market. And personally, like for me, the same group of people that talk about having like post-nut clarity is never somebody I would ever take sexual advice from, because I've never experienced that a day in my life. If I had sex with somebody, if I looked at something, I never thought, maybe shouldn't have done that after. Like, I was decisive in my choices of giving my—
Because you're not a man. That's because we are different. Post-nut clarity is specific to men. Men experience a rush, like a hormonal crash in your brain. I believe it's in your prefrontal cortex, which then levels off the experience or the gratification of high dopamine within your brain. Not only does it make you tired or sleepy, just for men, not for women, but then also it brings you back to a state of clear-headedness, right? You're thinking less with your brain down there, your little head, and your brain up here, right? Much more logic and rationale begins to come into play. You don't understand it because you don't have our biology.
Body to someone. And the same way we talk about a lock and a key, I personally don't want a lollipop that everyone has put in their mouth. So it's like, you can say, oh, you know, it's different for men and women, but an extremely lustful man who has slept with multiple people, I think will continue that lustful behavior. And we've seen this with celebrity relationships. Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce. I mean, like, you can be as good of a wife as you can. And if you have a lustful man by you, he will pick the not choosable woman, the woman that is not marriage material, and he'll still cheat behind your back and go cheat with the one that is easily accessible. So I think like this whole, also, if I lie to you and tell you my body count is something that it's not, you have no way to prove that
True.
I'm not
You're
like
right.
telling the truth.
You know what?
So at the end of the day, I think it's truly a mental thing. If you're gonna say I want a partner who isn't sexually all over the place, you should hold that same standard for yourself.
They are.
Because to think that you're gonna get into a relationship and all that's gonna be magically gone, I think is like, I think it's really silly to think that. If you are a lustful creature and you have sex with just about anything just to get your rocks off, in a relationship, you're probably not going to be able to just tone that down. Or
I'm in a relationship.
Just real quick, before we move on to the next one, I've this archetype of young lady right here, I'm trying to tell you, these are the freakiest amongst us. Like, I'm trying to tell you, the black women wearing the terrible white women wigs with the baby hair still glued abhorrently upon betwixt the sides of her forehead, with the doggy bone beret or whatever them things is called in her hair, with the damn rocker shit around with the hole up in the knee of the jean. Oh, where we go? My bad, lost my place. With the sun I'm not done yet. With the sun tattoo, with the damn leopard print. Oh man, all she's missing is a leopard print tattoo somewhere up over here. I'm trying to tell you, these be the ones that be having the 50 to 60 bodies and will never think that it is not the incorrect way to conduct oneself. Let's keep it going.
your rocks off in a relationship standard for yourself, because to think that you're going to get into a relationship and all that's going to be magically gone, I think is like, I think it's really silly to think that. If you are a lustful creature and you have sex with just about anything just to get your rocks off, in a relationship, you're probably not going to be able to just tone that down. Or
I'm in a relationship and a person asks me their body count, they're not the person for me. I think that's very childish behavior. As long as you're tested, we're adults. I don't really care.
Sure.
I'm not saying I'm going out and being with everybody, but I'm very to myself as a person, and if I choose you, I chose you for a reason. But again, with the lustful thing, if you're having sexual encounters with 100 people, it probably shows in other aspects of your life, and not wanting or not having enough in other aspects. And then also the energy exchange. I think giving yourself's body, both men and women, to someone, it definitely plays a part in your mental health. That's why everyone, no matter what gender, should be cautious of what you're getting yourself into. But also women are at risk for higher sexual assault. And I don't think it's anybody's place to tell them how they should heal. Whether that is, again, it's not the most unhealed version, but sleeping with people to get their power back, there's no room to judge on how someone heals. It might not be the right way, but to me, I'm not going to judge anybody for doing that.
Usually it's the man who presents
You see what happens? Imagine if she was in Senate. Imagine if she was in politics. Imagine if she was a judge. Imagine living in a limitless society, one of which you can't even call bad behavior bad behavior. You can't even say, listen, this is not good for you. You need therapy. For you cannot judge how much a kid wants ice cream, even if that kid is already overweight. This is absolutely absurd. Absurd.
It's the question, and it's the girl who says yes or no.
Correct.
And if it's the other way around, it's basically, unconsensual, which is not.
Yeah, I only said that just 'cause I don't want it to be confused.
I thought I was hearing that wrong. My bad.
Yeah, no, you're good. Because I think, and I think kind of look at it like, do men create it? I doubt it, because in nature, in every other creature, basically, every other species, the female ends up selecting. So I would say that it's a trend, so I think it's a safe assumption that it's the same for humans as well.
I would agree.
So you would agree? Would I'm curious to see your answer. Would you agree
In the animal kingdom,
that
they be
women allow
taking it.
access?
I think yes, but also if a man's asking 100 people, then
Well, who's to say he's asking? I mean, he could
Well,
just,
then
it
it's
could just,
consensual.
but the reason why I ask is just because you brought up the STD and the STI,
Yeah.
scenario. But like, if women are presenting that they're answering the question to men asking, hey, the man's asking, can I have sex with you? And she's like, yeah, right? She's allowing the access for sex to happen. So majority of the time, it's predominantly women who are having sex more, which is why that STI and the STDs are spreading more, in accordance to your logic.
It's also.
You mean with the same woman?
I think there's actually statistics that disprove that, like men actually are usually the carriers of STD, and I wish I had the statistic with me, and if you are like a sexy, hot guy, if you are asking 100 women, you might get 50 of them to say yes. So, is it necessarily the one woman who told you, yes, I'm okay with that? Is it her somehow fault, or is it the guy that's like putting his dick everywhere?
Well, that's going to be in the portion of accountability, right? You have to take accountability. It takes two to tango.
Yeah.
The man's asking, the woman allows him to do it, yes. But at the end of the day, you
The access.
are in control of who comes in, which is why it refutes back to, a key that opens up many locks is a master key, but a lock that gets opened by many keys is a shitty lock. Like,
Again,
that's the whole
I
point.
never want to put a lollipop in my mouth that you all have just shared. It just
Exactly. So in a sense, you would agree with
sense
us.
where you say it takes two to tango. It does take two to tango, and it takes two irresponsible people to get an STD. So it's like, again, even though I have allowed access to someone to come in my body, right? Because I said yes, somehow like it's more meaningful to me. It doesn't make sense to, I feel like, defend somebody. Again, asked 50 women or however many women in the club that they can, and they're just trying to bag some sex for the night. I think if anything, that is way more disgusting and much more questionable behavior sexually than someone who goes, oh, I like you, I'm into you, I want to have sex with you. If you have someone who's just giving it out because they just want to get it out, like, I think that's, in my opinion, that's grosser. Like, that's nasty.
But that's irrespective of gender. That happens on both sides of the coin. So what's her point?
What's interesting about this question is we're both gonna, like, both sides are gonna argue whether somebody should or should not value something. But at the end of the day, I talk to men all the time. I get to see their perspectives. I also obviously talk to women too, and I get to see their perspectives. Like, I know men inherently value that somebody hasn't slept with somebody as much.
I
right?
said that.
It's like that. Yeah, they have a lower body count. So whenever we're sitting here thinking about, the master key or the lock, when we're sitting here looking at those, at the end of the day, the men are going to get to determine what they value the most, and women are going to get to determine what they value the most. And when you jump into a relationship, I think it's important to be transparent about your body count, about those things. And if somebody's asking about those, it's because they value them. And it goes back to one of the first things that I talked about is, like, if you're going to be in a relationship with somebody and you're good for them, then you're going to share the same morals and values and all those other things. And I know just inherently men value that, and that's going to be something that when they jump into a relationship, they're going to want to talk about that. They're going to want to know that 35 other guys haven't been in a relationship with this person and slept with them. They're going to want to know that she is I guess, more selective with that. She cares more about it, and she's saved that for something that, you know, means more to her. And it goes back to like the number of times that you've slept with somebody diminishes what that relationship can be.
I think the argument about accessibility is the one that's often missed. Something that is easily accessible reduces its value, and women give access to sex. But guess what? When men are deciding on relationships, men give access to relationships. Feminism has spent decades helping women become sexually liberated, right? For breaking out of the tyranny of men and the patriarchy and being oppressed. Meanwhile, while also not giving them the consequences of said lifestyle. And now we got some of the highest abortion rates that we've ever seen. And we also have some of the highest antidepressant medication prescriptions for women that we have ever seen. But if the goal was to keep undeserving men's eggplants wet, then shout out to feminism. Thank you. Thank you. You've done us all a service, baby, except for the women, because the consequences will still remain. Even though you don't feel it right now, they're there. They're just getting delayed. Now, I've also commented on the platform that I don't think it's healthy either for men to have like all of these different body counts, but there's a much smaller subset of man, or the type of man that can generate all, you know, this huge ass body count in comparison to what like an average at best woman could if given the same option set. But also men that have medium to high body counts are less mentally affected, right? Like there's less trauma over time. And a lot of this is biological in nature. We're more hardwired to keep pumping and go. Not immediately because, you know, you get tired. But I mean, over time. And we're not the ones who get pregnant for 9 months either. We generate millions of sperm. Y'all generate a few eggs in a given month. Biology is saying that we are different. But the more that you think that these things should be even, the less that you're doing yourself a service. Nevertheless, this whole topic of, you know, body count and double standards, right? Like, I don't know how as a society it became normalized that double standards are bad, right? Besides, if I think about like pushes of equality that come as of the feminist movement. But if women continue to ignore, you know, what men are saying or what they're requesting, then, you know, you just kind of just deal with the consequences, right? So when I think about this conversation, it's not just about, you know, shaming men or just trying to police women. It's about biology. It's about incentive. It's about leveraging your position in the dating marketplace and understanding double standards. I didn't make the rules. I just report on them. And I never said that this shit is fair. The market ain't fair, baby. All right. It never has been, never will be. All right. But I do know one thing, that the market, the dating market, the economic market, they both reward scarcity, good product, all right, and foresight. And it penalizes overexposure and impulsiveness. And it does not negotiate with feelings. In fact, if you buying on the stock market with pure feelings, you probably gonna look up and your bank gonna say zero. No, your bank gonna say negative 10,000. All right. Anyway, shout out to everybody that's joining me on this conversation. Guys, leave me your questions, comments, concerns down up in the comment box down below. It's very interesting going over these different podcast conversations and seeing the different, you know, back and forth in regards to kind of these age-old and true topics. Specifically, the body count one is one that's been floating around ever since I've started my content creation journey, but one where I'm still hearing new points and positions that I find interesting. So drop me a comment down below. What is it that you think about this particular content? I love you guys. Stay safe out there. And I will see you very, very soon. I promise. Until next time. Peace.
So without further ado, MTR, cut through the BS like we in charge. No cap with the rappers like steel bars. I'm packing and rapping like here we are. Mediocre tutorial reviews. Like, comment, share my views. Come up and I paid my dues. Big step in my black way shoes. MTR, he break it down, yeah, it's MTR. Check out the sound with his MTR. No one put it down like it's MTR.